Hey guys, Morgan's Maintenance, episode 66 of Guess the Trade. But first, let's go back and talk about episode 65, where we looked at No Skills Loadout. He had recently picked up a Vito Pro Pack Tech Pack, and then also that SPMC as part of the spring promotion. Both of those full of a lot of really great tools. Well, what was it that he did with those tools? He said that he is a maintenance technician for a Meyer grocery store warehouse. So he said he worked on robotics. I think he said motors, belts, all sorts of things, climbing, all sorts of things like that. So I guessed industrial maintenance. I'm going to call that a win. But I know some of you specifically guessed like robotics. A lot of you said he for sure works with motors, all those kinds of things like that. So really good guessing. Again, appreciate the loadout, no skills. Appreciate you sending it in. Well, today we're also going to look at one loadout. Today we're going to look at Doug 1637. He's got a Milwaukee backpack along with, I think we see some pictures of his van loadout as well. And then he said there's one picture in particular, I think I'll remember it whenever we get to it, that he said it's kind of a specialized thing that he's into, and those tools would help us. So maybe some of you will see these tools and know exactly what they are. But let's go ahead and jump into Doug's tools. So first picture, again, I believe this is the inside of a van. We can see his Milwaukee backpack down there at the bottom. Also running M18 and M12 tools, and then also has a DeWalt light as well. So a mix between the two. He's also got some sort of piece of equipment of some kind down there, a side something 3. So some of you may see that and know exactly what that is as well. And that might help us out on the guessing. But again, this is kind of an overview. We'll go on to the next picture. Here is the front side of his Milwaukee backpack. Got some bit holders on the outside. Also looks like a bunch of different possibly, I don't know if those are hex keys or just something else. I'm not real sure exactly what those are. You can see non-contact voltage tester and then flashlight and basically your ink zols and stuff. Just your EDC stuff right there. Easy to grab. Going on to the next picture. Here is the other side. Looks like he has some SDS Plus bits. So he probably drills for anchors. Milwaukee tape measure, some sort of a socket. Maybe we'll be able to see what size that is. Over here on the other side, looks like he's got the Klein. Maybe those are those self-adjusting wire strippers. That's what they kind of look like to me. Next picture, so there's the flap open. So again, flashlight, non-contact voltage tester, markers, gloves, some rags as well. Going on to the inside of the bag, and we're going to see these tools out. So just to give you an idea, and one thing I've noticed that he's doing here is he's got some cups in there to kind of help hold several tools, because sometimes that's the thing about certain bags, you just don't have enough pockets to kind of separate your stuff the way you want to. I've seen people do this with pieces of PVC for screwdrivers and things like that. So he's using cups. So that's just an option for some of you out there. Maybe if you're running into that problem, you know, that's a good fix for that. Also looks like he's got some pill bottles down in there. Probably got some hardware in those. We'll see here in just a little bit. Moving on to the next picture. There's just another look. Now there is a sheet of some kind up in here. I don't know if that's just a number sheet for marking things. So he's got that. I almost thought we could see that name of that thing a little bit better over there, but that still just says S. So that's side something 3. Moving on to the next one. So here's up in the top side. Looks like he's got probably some extensions and stuff like that up in there. I'm assuming this is the second part of the backpack. Looks like he keeps a hardware box in there. So here we are. There's the hardware box up top. This is an overview of the tools. We're going to go into quadrants on this, so I'm not going to zoom in, but just to give you an idea of an overall view of the tools that he has. And it's the tools down there at the bottom. Whenever we get to that picture, I think that's the numbered picture that he told me was kind of more specific within his specialized thing that he does. So up at the top, looks like we've got a Coleman lighter. Also, he's got the butter pliers. He's got the Milwaukee butter pliers that we talk about all the time. Also, the Milwaukee locking pliers with kind of that needle nose type head. Milwaukee snips. Also the Milwaukee, and I actually really like these, the Milwaukee long extended reach, but these are actually probably the best of all the long ones that I have that are supposed to be like that. I've got some of the Irwins that are double jointed. I think I even picked up another brand, but those Milwaukee ones are super nice. I've got the straight one and the curved one. I don't have that one right there that he has, but they are super nice. They're kind of pricey, but they're worth the money if you don't have a pair of those yet. So he's got those. Also has a Skill electric screwdriver. I've got that one in my house bag. It's not too bad. I don't mind it. I still prefer the Vessel. Milwaukee insulated drivers. Couple other screwdrivers. That one looks like it is a T10. I run into that on camera systems and door locks a lot, so T10. Next picture is the next row down, Klein non-contact voltage tester. Again, that was the Klein self-adjusting wire strippers. Has a crimper there of some sort. I don't know what the brand is. I don't see a brand on that. So 1/32, 3/64, and 1/16, I think is what that is. I assume that's a crimper. That's kind of what it looks like. It might actually be for something else. Lineman pliers, big DeWalt adjustable wrench, small pair of butter pliers from Milwaukee, a couple small pair of channel locks. Is running a lock nut, the offset lock nut wrench from Klein, and then a Milwaukee 16-foot tape measure. Next picture, again, those bit holders. See what kind of bits he's got going on. 3/8, also looks like a 3/8 adapter. Phillips number 2, smaller drill bit, and a 1/4 and 5/16 Malco. Milwaukee fastback. Couple of tools that almost look like they're like hole punches or something like that for paper, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Also some sort of a, looks like a flashlight. And then beside that, a Milwaukee torpedo level. That's the ones I run in my bags. He also has some Cobalt 1/2 inch, let's see, 7/16, 9/16 ratchet wrenches. Magnetic pickup tool right there. Next picture, scooting on over. So let's see if we can tell what those are. I don't know what those are specifically. Almost look like it's a gauge of some kind to be able to tell, you know, the size of a hole. I don't know. Maybe it's obvious to some of you, but I don't know what those are specifically for. Also, again, SDS bits up there at the top. Again, a couple pill bottles. Maybe we'll see what's in those here in just a second. Looking down here, he's got some Axis gloves. Again, all these tools here, I'm pretty sure this is the number picture that he said. There were some specific tools that if anybody knew what they were, this would tell them what it is that he does. So you can check those out. 1/2 inch and a 3/16 on the hex sockets for the ratchet right there. Small ratchet. Also a 3/8 ratchet, few extensions, and then almost kind of looks like an end of a faucet tool. I know that's not what it is, but that's kind of what that gold piece looks like up there. Again, I have no idea what it's for. So hopefully you guys can help us out. And then this right here, over here on this side, maybe you all are seeing these again and you know exactly what they're for. Up there in the pill bottles, it looks like it is some sort of that looks almost like the crimps for like pulling the metal wire that you hang, like I hang lights and stuff from them sometimes. That's what those kind of look like. So see all those pictures there. We'll move on to the next one. So there's the pill bottle with it up close. So again, those look like they are, you run the metal wire through, crimp them together, and then that keeps that wire loop. So that's what's inside of those. Next picture, I was calling this a flashlight a minute ago. I guess we'll see if this is a flashlight now. See if we can see. Actually, that's a socket there. So he's got a socket on this end of it towards, you know, his body, looking at it this way. That's a socket. The other end is a red dot laser. So that's what he's showing us. So I was almost close. I thought it was a flashlight, but apparently it wasn't. Here's the hardware box. So we're going to get into this. And as I've always said, sometimes those things will tell you things that others won't. Doesn't look like he opens it, but maybe we can read these. So he's got RG caps, 450 degree something. Let's see, 360 degree somethings. Parochem caps, O-rings. So again, you can probably see through that hardware box enough. If you know exactly what these are, you can probably help us out in guessing what this is. But that's his box. And then again, there's his name. So there's his hardware box. There's that tool that he's made for himself. There's his 2 pill bottles. There's the tools, again, that he said would kind of tell people more so what it is that he does. Moving through these, I'll just get back to that one picture that kind of shows them all. You can pause and zoom in there if you want to look at them again. And then we'll go through his bag real fast. There's the front side views. And again, if any of you know what this tool up here is, the side something 3, let us know what that does in the comments. That might help as well. And again, he uses a bandsaw, ratchet, impacts, drills, He's also got, I think it's either the mid torque over there. I believe that's what that is. So those might help you as well in that first picture. But that's Doug1637's loadout of his Milwaukee backpack, also part of his van. We saw his hardware box, which was actually in his backpack, so it is part of his backpack loadout. And I'm kind of at a loss, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot you could get done with all the tools that he has in his bag. But whenever I look at those specific tools, the one that in his email he said, this is the picture that if anybody knows anything about what I do, this is going to be the one that tells them what it is. I have no clue. I don't have any idea what that is. So hopefully some of you guys can help us out by dropping some hints and some comments in the comment section down below. If you know anything about those, please do that. If you've got any questions for him, make sure and ask those. Maybe you saw a tool that you're curious about or want his feedback on. You know, he had the Klein auto strippers. I've got a review for those. I'm interested kind of, what do you think about those? It's a kind of a tool that some people really like or some people don't ever use whatsoever. I basically use mine as a sheathing stripper for NM cable, Romex cable for the most part. So other than that, I don't use them that often. But let us know your feedback on that. And again, if you've got questions, ask those down below. But don't forget to guess what it is you think Doug1637 does with those tools. As always, I hope this video was helpful. You guys stay safe. Have a blessed day. I'll see you on the next video.